Okay, going to call the Policies and Priorities Committee meeting to order for Monday, March 9th. Take approval of the agenda, please. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. That the March 9th, 2026 Policies and Priorities Committee meeting agenda be adopted as presented.
Seconder. Councillor Noxana. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Adoption of minutes for February 9th, 2026 Policies and Priorities Committee meeting minutes. Recommendation, please. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. That the February 9th, 2026 Policies and Priorities Committee meeting minutes be adopted as presented.
Seconder. Councillor Bertrand. Any errors or omissions from council? Staff?
No.
Thank you. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Any business arising from the minutes, council? Staff?
No.
Thank you. Moving on to reports, let's talk date selections for 2026. Report dated March 9th, 2026 from the Executive Assistant to the Mayor, Council, and the CEO regarding let's talk date selections for 2026. Recommendation? Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. That Council receives this report for discussion.
Seconder. Councillor Hoffman. All in favor? Carried. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. So just looking at what we did last year, we did on May 21st, but we have the NCLGA conference at that point. So I was thinking that we would do it, maybe we do it the Wednesday after, on the 27th, and we can report on what's happening, what we've done with our budget this year, and we can invite any other guests that we think would be important to the community at that time.
Any other discussion? Just gonna make a comment. Maybe we look at the last week of April, and that way we can have a budget discussion at Let's Talk before budget is finalized. Kind of gives us an open budget selection with the community. Thoughts? Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I hadn't thought of that, but I do like it. I don't think we've done that since this group has been here until after the fact. I also like the subject matter being one that we haven't really done in a Let's Talk at all. Yeah, I have to admit I was thinking the exact same day as Councillor Norbury, but I kind of like this.
Yeah, like previously, like normally we talk about what's in the budget after we've approved it. It's kind of nice to hear from the community to try to be open. And, you know, in previous years, they used to hold it in council chambers on a Saturday before the budget was approved. And I think something that, you know, last few councils have missed, is trying to get out to the community to see what their thoughts are. Maybe there's something we've missed, but. Councillor Julik?
I like that idea. I just wanted to speak in favor of it. I'd like to see us be able to bring it to the community and get some feedback before we do our final reading.
Okay, Councillor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor. I mean, I don't feel strong on one way or the other, but I'll throw it out there. So we have it early in April. Will we have time to make the changes that we can anticipate? Like realistically, would we be able to make these changes, or are we setting ourselves up for unrealistic expectations from the community? Like we definitely can. We have time, but say we have it on the 22nd. So then we got to have a meeting on the 27th to make changes. We give first three readings. It's doable, but again, are we setting ourselves up for failure? People have the opportunity to come in and bring up budget. We're having a budget meeting next week. There's opportunities for people to come out and talk to us. Can we deliver on the public input that we receive in late April?
I go to staff, but if we're looking at April, it would be April 29th, not the 22nd. Ms. Scott, just I understand that, like, obviously our first budget meeting is tomorrow night, and as the process goes on, but again, we can do the first three readings and then approval at a more or less 24 hours after the fact. So to me, I mean, it's not about hearing from the community and making a bunch of changes, but I mean, maybe it's something we miss and it makes sense for council to debate it again. Would be my comment on that one. Ms. Scott, from staff side? Like, if we were to have a Let's Talk on April 29th, and then we realized that maybe there's lots of feedback from residents on one topic, whatever it may be, would there be opportunity, Councillor Norbury's comments are, would there be opportunity to make a change if we see fit that, yeah, we didn't think of that one, or, you know, the tax rate's too high and we need to come back and remove some stuff? I mean, as we go through the budget, then we'll obviously understand where we're at when it comes to whether it's an increase and what the increase looks like. But would we have enough time after the 29th to make any changes?
Yes, there would still be enough time. I mean, there would be a lot of work for staff to go back and make those changes, but the tax levy bylaw, the financial plan and tax levy bylaw don't have to be adopted until May 14th. So, I mean, you could potentially give both bylaws 3 readings on May 12th and adopt on May 14th. So if you wanted to include financial plan discussion at a Let's Talk in April, there would be a lot of work on staff's end, but we could have those incorporated, I think, before we had to give first 3 readings on May 12th.
Okay, thank you. Other discussion from council? Councillor Bertrand?
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have the calendar in front of me, but would it be possible to have it middle of April?
I just think with some of our meeting or budget schedules that, the first one's on the 10th, which is tomorrow. And then the next one is do we remember, 24th to the 31st? Can't remember. 31st, so that's why I was figuring by April 29th, we may not be finalized our budget, but maybe we have an idea of where we're heading, is what I was thinking. I mean, there'll still be some more budget meetings in April. I mean, to me, it just gives us an opportunity to speak to it. And I understand, Councilor Norbury, from your side, that people can come to any budget meeting, they're all open. I totally agree with you. Sometimes it's nice to have it out there. I mean, again, if we look at the attendance of Let's Talk, it's not a full room. I believe Let's Talk, we had 22 people there. So, I mean, to make a bunch of changes, listening to 22 voices is a little bit different than if we have a whole bunch. And, this does give them an opportunity to see what the budget's like, what our percent increase could be or looks like. But that's up to council. I mean, that's just an idea I had. I mean, if we want to keep it in May, I'm fine that way too. But again, it was just a way to have open input from the community. Councilor Bertrand?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, no, I do like that idea of having that Let's Talk in April, just to give the residents an opportunity to voice their opinions if they have any in regards to that. But I'm sure budget won't be the only talk. I'm sure we'll have a number of topics to discuss. So yeah, I'm definitely in favor of April 29th.
Okay. I'm going to put a motion forward that we have staff work on scheduling a Let's Talk for April 29th. If I can get a seconder, Councillor Noxena, discussion on the motion. Call the question, all in favor? Carried. Any other discussion, Councillor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor. I think we should be inviting School District 59. So I'll motion that we invite School District 59 to the April 29th Let's Talk.
Seconder, Councillor Noxena. Discussion? Yeah. Councillor Bertrand?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just curious, Councillor Norbury, for what reason?
Okay, just before you answer that, Councillor Julik? Just want to make sure we don't have a conflict here.
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm in conflict, and so I will sign out. Somebody can text me and when you're done, and I'll sign back in.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor. I think, in past, we've brought in brought in Northern Health in regards to healthcare questions and concerns. I expect that people will have additional questions for School District 59 as well regarding the incident on February 10th, and I think it would be appropriate to have them there because we're not going to be able to answer those questions, right? With the coroner's report, I mean, that's going to be government, but people may be asking specific questions that we just can't answer, and I'd like to have someone there that field those questions. We can throw it out there, and if they send someone, they do, and if they don't, they don't, but at least we extended the invitation because I strongly suspect that, I don't know if you've been attending many meetings, but I have. Almost every single meeting that I'm a part of, 40 to 50% is in reference to the incidents on February 10th.
Councillor Noxena?
Thank you. I like the idea of inviting School District 59, like we have Northern Health. I know they School District 59 has publicly said they're doing a lot of consultation towards the end of March. I would hope maybe if they're able to come to this meeting, there's questions on that consultation they can answer, or even more public, community-focused input they can receive on their phase steps forward and how things, what things the community would like to see as we move forward through the next weeks and months.
Thank you. Any other comments, discussion? I'm going to make a few. I just wonder if this is the wrong venue for it. Again, I think School District 59 has any and every opportunity to come to the municipality and hold their own open house to have discussion with families, students, guardians. Again, I know we've invited Northern Health multiple times. I think that venue with Northern Health and the one time we had the BCHS there, we also had the local volunteer fire department there. I would just be hesitant that this goes the wrong way. Again, I understand there's frustrations and concerns, but I'm just wondering if this is the right venue for asking School District 59 to be in attendance. And then it takes away from the let's talk and in the concept of what we've established there. I mean, when we talk about, the reason I asked for it to be supported for the April 29th was to discuss maybe some of the budget, some of the capital items that may be on the window to move forward in 2026. That'd be my concern. It just takes over the whole meeting in regards to it. And I think this is an opportunity where, again, School District 59 can come to the municipality at any time and hold an open house for parents, guardians, and students. Councilor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor. I mean, I can appreciate those sentiments, especially when, we have such a dramatic incident. But I think if we look back at Northern Health, we've had some very heated topics with them as well. And Tumble Ridge can surprise us. We keep an agenda. We let people aware of what's happening and where Northern Health lies, where the school district lies on the agenda. And, we ask the public to keep decorum. The same thing with Northern Health. They have a whole building here, just like the school district does. They have an opportunity to do outreach. But when the public still wants to know and they're still asking questions, I just like it as it's our opportunity to help our residents bridge the gap. And I think Tumble Ridge would surprise us again in this regard about being respectful and asking constructive questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Noxana?
Thank you. I think Let's Talk is and has often been an avenue for the most pressing concerns on our community. Sometimes it's what we are advocating for on residents' behalf. So when we think of like the UBCM updates or after we've done a budget, we've brought those things. We've brought Northern Health to the table before because that was a very pressing concern for our residents. I think right now, the events of February are a pressing concern for our residents. School District 59 or the Minister of Education even can decline having them here. However, we can then go to our residents and say, we tried. We know that this is a really big concern for you, and this is the avenue we tried. It didn't work, and we keep working on getting them here to answer questions until we're successful.
Thank you. Councillor Hoffman?
Thank you, Mayor. This is going to be pressing for a long time. I think residents want to know what's going on, and I think that's at the core of it. That's what Let's Talk is really about. I'm not looking to create a gotcha situation. I'm not looking to put them under pressure. I want to give them an opportunity to update where things are at, what the plans are, and if there's things that they want us to know and distribute as knowledge for the town. If they're feeling under threat, then they'll say no. They'll decline the invitation, and I hope that they'll say that they'll have their own whenever, and we can pass that message on. But for those in school, those going to go to school, those finishing school, and the parents and families around it, I think there's just a lot of unknowns, and I would rather hear it from them directly in a forum such as this. So I would like to give them that opportunity, so I'm very much in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I'm going to make a couple more comments. I understand where everybody's coming from. Again, I'm going to just state my facts. I won't be supporting the motion. And it's not that I don't think that the community be respectful, but again, when we invited Northern Health and BC Ambulance and our volunteer fire department, the aspect is they serve all. BC School District does not serve all when it comes to community. I don't have a child in school. There's multiple people in this community that don't have a child. Again, I think School District 59 at any time they want can come and do an open house for the community if they wish, but usually it seems to be for the students, the guardians, and the parents, even including what, I know the school had a thing at the elementary outside the school there 2 days in a row or whatever. But again, it's not about, and I appreciate Councilor Norbury's comments there, I don't think it would be where people aren't respectful when it comes to the community. Again, you can always send the invite and they can always decline whether that's to them or the school ministry, education ministry. But again, I just think this is, to me, for the education-wise, it's just the wrong venue. And I do agree with all three of you in one way. I mean, it's a very prominent thing. It's within everybody's thoughts. And I just think that it's something that they should do on their own instead of led by and take away from what this meeting is supposed to be about, budget and other concepts that the district and council has been working on. So that would be my comment. We're going to call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. If Ms. Scott is something, contact Councillor Julick and we'll wait for her. There's nothing else on this subject from council around here? Okay. We could just take a 5-minute recess while she dials in. Make it easier. Any more discussion in regards to let's talk date selection? Okay. Moving on to elections and asset and voting bylaw number 710, 2022 for review. Report dated March 9th, 2026 from the Director of Corporate Services regarding election and asset and voting bylaw number 710 for review. Recommendation? Councilor Norberry?
Thank you, Mayor. Can we move this for discussion, please?
For discussion, seconder. Councilor Noxana? All in favor? Carried. Councilor Norberry?
Thank you, Mayor. Great. This is a great report that's in front of us. I think the big thing for me is the discussion about the runoff election. I think, if anything, after our local by-election, I heard it loud and clear to the community that the drawing of lots as a result for a by-election is something that the community absolutely does not want to see, and our election process does not allow for any other mechanism to be done other than draw lots. I think we absolutely need to have a mechanism to allow for a runoff election if we see fit.
Okay. Councilor Noxana?
Thank you. I definitely heard community members who were not impressed with how a tie vote would be settled, but I am concerned about the cost of a I don't know what you call it, a by-election, if we were at a tie. The odds of it happening are super, super low, so I'm not sure. It almost happened anyway. But I'm not sure if community members are aware of the cost if we were to get in a position where there was an exact tie and having to redo an election between two people. Would they still feel the same? Ultimately, when we get to a position where there is an exact tie, these are the two best candidates. The majority of the community has voted for these two people. I don't know. I think we would need costs before we can make that decision.
Thank you. Councillor Hoffman?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Noxana, for pointing out the odds. I think there's only really one other option besides draw being the final authority in case of tie after tie after tie, is you assign somebody to do the decision-making. Whether that's mayor or council or another body, you can always do that as the final arbiter of a tie. But there's nothing to ever guarantee that there won't be a tie from over multiple rounds. My preference would be doing some form of ranked choice voting on the first ballot so that you have straight out one. If there's a tie, you go to second choice or something like that if we're worried about it. But in the end, there's always the possibility of a tie. So if we don't want to do ballot, then we need to assign somebody that's going to make that final decision. And I'm not married to any particular option here, but given the odds of this happening again, I'm not particularly worried about it, but we can solve this if we choose to. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Julik?
I'm sorry, I wasn't able to hear Councillor Norberry's reasoning as to what he's actually asking for.
Councillor Norberry, if you can summarize.
Thank you, Mayor. So there was no motion made, but my comments initially were in regards to a runoff election and in regards to the recent by-election. Hearing from the community, the drawing of lots was not an acceptable way to determine who was elected through this process. I mean, we're essentially talking about luck. Maybe we want someone lucky, I don't know, but I think we'd rather have a democratic process.
So I was in and I talked to Ms. Scott to see if staff had done any work after the by-election. I know there was some conversations even from council after the by-election had come up and how that worked out if there was a tie. And obviously it was not a tie because they brought the two candidates in and worked through the process with legal and realized that there was a ballot that was specifically marked. It just didn't meet the criteria, but as legal would say, it would have been accepted. So I believe they talked to the two candidates. But I know I asked Ms. Scott today if staff had done any background work on it, and I'll let her speak for herself. But one of the comments that I heard loud and clear is we're not the only one that does this the same way. It's multiple across the province of British Columbia that is the same way. If there's a tie, it's by a draw and selected. When Councillor Noxana talks about what's the cost, I mean, to run a by-election would be the same cost, you'd almost assume, because it would have to go back out a certain amount of time, I would imagine, for campaigning as well for those two members or 3 for them to be that opportunity, and then again staff time. So can't remember the exact price, but I think it was around $20,000 or something like that for the by-election. Ms. Scott?
Thank you. In the report that was prepared by the corporate officer, she did identify that the potential budgetary implications if we were to have a runoff election could be estimated somewhere between 5 and 10,000. It would depend on whether we wanted to bring in basically a third party, somebody to run the runoff election to make sure that there was no conflict with the original people that ran the election and following those steps. So the estimate is anywhere between 5 and 10,000. And sorry, to clarify, and on top of the regular election cost, an additional 5 to 10,000. So if a regular election cost between, I don't remember, I don't have the exact figures of the by-election in front of us, but let's say approximately $10,000 to run the by-election. So the additional 5 to 10,000 is on top of that. So the runoff election would be 15 to 20. To clarify that. And then on page 27 of that report, in green, it does talk about some of the work that staff has done to see what other municipalities are doing. And then in addition, this chart that was left on wickets, it does in there have a section about tie vote resolution that says what all of the other neighboring communities in the Peace region do. But just a little bit further to that too, I mean, there may be municipalities out there who don't do it this way, but we have not been able to find one. Staff did a pretty comprehensive search with other municipalities in BC, and there may be some out there, but we haven't found them. So all of the ones that we researched all did the same application for in case of a tie vote.
Thank you. So discussion, Councilor Norberry.
Thank you, Mayor. So, like, my thought is at least have the option for that mechanism to be engaged if we wished. Like, if council wants to leave it so that we have to pass a special resolution, absolutely fine with that. But not even having the mechanism available to our community, if that's something they want, is something that I think we should at least be looking at and investigating and putting it in place. And we can say to people, it's going to cost us $20,000, which is equivalent to, what is that, 0.2% of raising your taxes. So, you know, $5 to your taxes next time. Is that something they want to pay to ensure that the election happens and doesn't end in draw? And again, like we've talked around here, what are the chances of it happening? It almost happened, right? So I think if I think it's at least worth putting something in there to allow us to engage that if we wish. Thanks.
Thanks. Councillor Bertrand.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying there, Councillor Norbury. The only problem with having a choice at that time is council isn't able to make any decisions during election time. So if there did come to be a tie and, you know, we had two choices of either a flip of a coin or another runoff election, we wouldn't be able to make that decision at that time. So we kind of have to go with one or the other, I believe. Being a part of that tie process last time, I think a lot of the frustration from the public and even candidates, including myself, was we didn't know the process either. So I think possibly we need to advertise that process a little bit more, just so people are aware of that, and maybe that is extra motivation for people to come out and vote. The by-election voting percentage was extremely low. I think we had just over 300 votes total. So, you know, if people understand that it could go down to a flip of a coin by a judge, it may give some other people some motivation to get out and make their decision known. Other than that, it's a very good report. I appreciate all the information, and honestly, I think if the tie decision is well advertised, it's by legislation, it's through community charter, so you know, a majority of communities do it that way, and I just think I don't think we need to change it, in my opinion. I think we just need to advertise it.
Thank you. Any other discussion? And appreciate Council Bertrand's comments, even Council Norbury, but to me, it has to be one or the other. To have a, council can pass that resolution, it looks like, now we're selecting that, we don't like that way, so we'll do the revote. Have another election to it because two strong candidates or something, so. Council's wishes if there wants to be any change here before we go into reading the recommendations. Okay, I'll take the recommendation, please. Councillor Noxana.
That the District of Tumbler Ridge election and assent voting bylaw number 710/2022 be received for review.
Next one. We already did that. We just had for discussion.
That staff prepares the amendments to election and assent voting bylaw number 710/2022 as directed at this meeting.
Seconder. Councillor Bertrand. Discussion. Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Mail ballot authorization and procedure bylaw number 711/2022 for review. Report dated March 9th, 2026 from the Director of Corporate Services regarding mail ballot authorization and procedure bylaw number 711/2022 for review. Recommendation. I thought it was supposed to be ballot, but I wouldn't write it there. Councillor Noxana.
If nobody has discussions, I'm just going to say that staff revises the mail authorization and procedure bylaw number 711/2022 as directed at this meeting.
Seconder. Councillor Norbury. Discussion. Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Third one, somebody? Councillor Noxana? Sorry.
That staff prepares a consolidated version of bylaw number 710 and 711/2022 and brings it to council for review or readings.
For readings? Seconder on that? Councillor Hoffman, discussion on the motion? Call the question, all in favor? Carried. Admin 42, Marquee rental policy, report dated March 9th, 2026 from the Manager of Recreation regarding Admin 42, Marquee rental policy. Recommendation. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. That council forwards the Admin 42 Marquee rental policy to regular council meeting for adoption.
Seconder. Councillor Noxana. Discussion. Councillor Bertrand.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a question. I'm just curious on the legalities of offering this space for advertising for private business. I'm just wondering legalities of that, and if we have compared, or is there a comparable other example in another community. I'm just curious on the cost of these charges here. I'm just wondering if they're on par or if they're really low, or like are we benefiting business by doing this?
Yeah, we're not allowing business in this one. Ms. Scott?
Yeah, the recommendations made in this policy is to remove the ability for commercial business to be able to advertise in the Marquee. And as far as the rates, that was something that we would be bringing forward with the fees and charges bylaw review of the community services fees that we're hoping to bring to council soon.
Follow up, Councilor Bertrand?
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Yes, my only question is, and it was in and asked Ms. Scott, and I think we do it, or we're going to be starting to do it, and that's when we talk about non-for-profit, but even for the DTR, when we're advertising on behalf of ourselves for certain things, to start capturing that. But it was even for the non-for-profit. Ms. Scott, do we know if we already do that?
Charge nonprofits? No, there currently is no charge for nonprofits.
No, but do we capture that? If a non-for-profit asks the district to advertise it, we capture that cost as an in-kind?
Oh, that I don't know the answer to. If council would allow, the director of recreation or the manager of recreation is at the meeting tonight, and I believe can provide that information for council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. Through to Mayor and Council. Currently, no, we do not record the use for nonprofits.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just noticed on the Marquee rental form, the very back page, 40 of 40, in the middle, cost of rental per screen per day, and then number of days. I just did a double take when I first read it over. I'm not sure if there's an easier way to break it down or make it clearer, or if we're planning on just transferring the fee number there and then times number of days. But even if it's a break of per screen space per day or something, it might make it a little clearer for anybody who's using it, but not a big deal. Thanks.
Okay, can you come again on that one? So it's not by, so my understanding is, we can ask staff, but my understanding is when a nonprofit gets a screen, it just flips through it. So it's one, you get one space or whatever,
Okay.
and it flips. I mean, I guess if you want multiple spaces, like you want 2 spots, is that what you're suggesting? Okay. Ms. Scott, just want to make sure we get the right answer there.
When we bring this forward in the fees and charges bylaw, because if we're taking it out of this policy, it's going to have to be brought forward in fees and charges. You know what, I don't have the fees and charges in front of me to see if it's more clear. I don't have the answer for that right now, sorry.
Nope, that's fine. We'll get that to us. I guess, Ms. Scott, just a question about that. Do we need direction to staff to just track the nonprofit use, so it's in regards to in-kind supports? So obviously, I mean, to me, we don't get a clear picture when we're funding organizations that we're funding a certain amount, whether it's grant or rate or fee for service, but we've also done this much in kind to any of the nonprofits, not one certain one over the other.
Yes, I would appreciate there being a motion from council.
Okay, I'm gonna put a motion on an amendment on the floor that we direct staff to track non-for-profit use as an in-kind amount. Seconder, Councillor Bertrand. I just amended it. Oh, sorry. To add it. You're good? Okay. Okay, sorry. Seconded by Councillor Bertrand. Any discussion on the amendment? And that's just to add it to this motion, so it's added right in. I'll just make it clear, this is not about charging non-for-profits for the use of the Marquee sign. It's just to track it as it gives us a total picture of what we fund on an in-kind service. Call the question on the amendment. All in favor? Carried. Any discussion on the amended motion? Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Take adjournment, please. Councillor Noxana.
The March 9th, 2026 Policies and Priorities Committee meeting be adjourned.
Seconder. Councillor Hoffman. All in favor? Carried. Perfect.